Hi everyone, welcome to What's My Path? And in today's episode, we're going to be talking to Neil from the Black Letter Law based in Cornwall. Hi Neil.
Hello, Patrick. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. The weather's quite nice today, so I can't complain at all.
No, exactly. It's been pretty cold, so yeah, it's
Perfect.
that's
Thanks for your time, Neil. Just a quick question. What is law?
yeah. It's a simple question, but it doesn't necessarily warrant a simple answer. Uh, in the simplest of terms, law is designed to give us peace of mind. It's designed to give us a feeling of being protected. It's designed to help us see ourselves and each other in a way that encourages trust between people. Um, it serves to keep us focused on what's right, what's not right, what's harmful, what's okay. Um, it's in everything. Law is in everything. It's in how we govern our countries, how we run our businesses, how we treat each other. Um, yeah, it's universal, and it's very hard to just give you a simple answer to that because it is literally just in everything that we do. And for some of us, it's a problem. For some of us, it's a blessing. It depends who you are, really, and what's happening to you at that moment. But law is essentially the thing that binds us together and makes us a unified civil collective. I think that's probably the best answer I can give, really, without going off on a huge tangent. Um,
I've touched on law when I was at university. I did social sciences, criminology mainly, but a bit of psychology and sociology as well. So we've touched on law, and my conclusion from the criminology perspective is that law has got a lot of blood as ink. Something had to happen in order for new legislation to kind of be brought out. Um,
yeah.
Obviously, there are different sides of the law. What side do you specialize in? What are your products and services that you could offer to your potential clients? And if you could kind of explain the importance of it.
Well, we specialize in different areas. I think we're very ethically driven, so we tend to we tend to work on the understanding that the clients that come to us are supposed to come to us. We don't necessarily um, market ourselves as doing one thing only because life just doesn't work that way. So we look at ourselves as a solutions provider. So people come to us if they're in distress, if they don't have a voice, if they feel exposed or unprotected. We work with autistic people. We're very inclusive of all walks of life. We are at the moment, the only autism-friendly law firm in this country
Oh, wow.
now. We're very proud of that. And that is a huge challenge because it incorporates people's sensitivities and neurodivergence with the law. And those two things don't necessarily sit very well together because we have complex needs as human beings, and the law isn't necessarily kind to that, but it's doing its best to evolve because that's how the law works. But if we look at the court system and we look at the legal system, there are definitely gaps in that process. And so, so yeah, we would talk to anybody that comes to us. It really doesn't matter what the problem is. It's about us helping them to find a solution. So, but typical issues that we get involved in can range from drafting contracts, reviewing contracts, dealing with landlord-tenant disputes, dealing with private disputes, commercial disputes, dealing with divorces, separations, uh, negligence claims, medical negligence claims, wrongful death claims, product liability claims. I'm just trying to think. There's quite a few. A lot of property related issues between couples when they separate and they want to deal with the division of the estates. We work with clients who help us to help them manage their estates, so we do that as well. It really does vary, and it's in the 3 years that I've been doing this, it's I've seen so many different issues come across, our bow and through our door. So I would say that if it's law related, then reach out to us. Really, just yeah. Don't feel like it's got to be one thing or another thing, because we're very passionate about this and about law. So yeah, I will just add that at the moment and this is quite important because we just had a meeting with an organisation just before Christmas who are becoming a leading voice in trauma recovery, and
Okay.
they're based in Canada. And we had a meeting with them online for the first time, and we are the first and only law firm to reach out to this organisation in the world. So
Wow.
this is groundbreaking stuff right now. We don't know where this is going to go, but we do know that there are numerous possibilities for us to collaborate with this organisation to help people recovering from trauma, no matter where they're from. And we see that particularly in family law issues, where the courts don't seem to recognise that people standing in front of judges are usually terrified.
Mhm.
And I mean genuinely scared. Confused, disoriented, unable to understand the legal technicalities of the language. The court has got a lot of work to do to close that gap, and that's something that we're proud to be trying to do for people. And last year we drafted the first mental capacity assessment report for a person to attend a court hearing, and it was accepted by one of the county courts in the southwest of England. So we've really set a precedent there. I don't know anybody else that's even achieved that at this point, and again, I'm very proud of that. So we're all about trying to progress law, and it's quite clear that we're having some successes in moving that forward. So it's constantly evolving. Very proud of that, actually. Now I think about it.
Yeah. So you're making the most out of globalization, right?
Out of
Yeah.
globalization, in what respect?
So using technology to be able to communicate
Sure.
global scale. I
Yeah.
believe it was Bill Gates that mentioned that internet creates or makes a world like a small village because of the connectivity and the network that it has got to offer. Um, so,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, Neil, why did you choose law as your path?
Good question. I think I saw a lot of, I experienced and I saw a lot of things growing up that made me unhappy.
Okay.
I saw a lot of injustices. I felt that my voice wasn't heard. I felt there were certain experiences in my life that were unfair.
Hmm.
The outcomes of those experiences caused me to suffer. I would go so far as to say some of that suffering was in fact trauma. So
Okay.
this again is something that we need to really get into a conversation about with people. People don't really know about trauma and the effects of trauma, but they are very far-reaching. So yeah, my interest in the subject came from very much a human-centric feeling of there's something not right here, and this isn't what's happening isn't right and isn't fair. And I remember one of the first questions I asked anybody when I went to university was, where can I learn about human rights? And the response shocked me because it wasn't what I expected. It was quite a short, sharp answer, which is to say that that's not something we do here. Now, that I was staggered by that.
Mm.
Well, then what are we doing? Because law is in everything that we do. And you'll often find a lot of law students feel the same way. You know, they end up in the university studying the subject often because they see things that upset them and they're not happy about that. Now, whether that's because they're from an ethnic minority, it may be to do with their home country where the government is mistreating the people, hundreds of different reasons for getting into the subject, but that was my journey. Mine really came from, I have a very strong internal constitution, and I think law is the perfect home for someone like me because it's about doing what's right and using the law the way that it was intended to be used and not abused. So that's how I got here.
Excellent. So you're based in Cornwall.
We are
Is your
Truro.
client Truro indeed? Yeah. Is your client based in Cornwall or any other county within the UK?
Yeah, we deal with clients from the sort of Northamptonshire. I've got a client reaching out to me at the moment in Liverpool who has a tribunal hearing. I've attended tribunals in Leeds. We've got people in Sheffield. Um, yeah, it's UK based. It's not We're not limited by geography because obviously today we live in this as we're doing right now. We have on remote hearings are becoming very common. So yes, we can help anybody in the within the English jurisdiction. I've spoken to people who've got issues as far up as Glasgow.
Okay.
I've talked to people who are actually outside the jurisdiction, but that the issue that's come up is drawing them into the English jurisdiction. So yes, we're not just Cornwall, Devon, London. Gosh, it's always growing and changing. So yes, it's very much a UK thing. It's definitely not necessarily just a Cornwall thing.
Okay. So
Mm.
if you don't mind asking, right, just so that we've got a bit of an idea, what are the most common kind of conflicts or issues that you're dealing with as a lawyer in terms of divorces, discrimination, health and safety, whatnot?
I think one thing I see a lot of is employment issues.
Okay.
A lot, and it's quite troubling. And often those issues tend to be around disability, race, age, sex. It really it covers a whole sort of rainbow of different issues. But certainly, what I'm seeing in the employment sector, I find deeply distressing. I think there are a lot of big businesses, big names that I obviously won't mention here, but certainly recognizable high street outlets that are, in my opinion, massively exploiting those that are vulnerable, whether that be through autism, Asperger's, physical disability. Yeah, that's the thing that I think I see where there's a real issue there. Um, and
Okay.
often some of those people that go through those situations, I've worked with people that have been suicidal. That's not uncommon, because they just don't know where to go. They don't see any hope. They're at their wits' end. So we work with people with suicidal ideations as well. This is why, again, we talk about trauma and we talk about the effects of trauma that it has on people. So, yeah, I'd say for me, it's the employment sector is where I see most, if not a lot of the issues being presented. I mean, divorces are divorces. People disagree with each other. They want to go separate ways. We can actually work with people on those issues fairly easily. But I think when it comes to employment issues, these are far-reaching, and they often can take a long time to get resolved, and not always getting resolved the way that we expect them to get resolved. And that's because I'm seeing again, and I'll go so far as to put this on record. I'm seeing what I consider to be abuses of that system. And it's against the claimants more often than not. Whereas I see the corporate defendants being given protection. Um,
Do you sense that there's a form of fear for an individual to think, I don't want to take him to court because they are massive corporations. They've got a top range lawyers that will absolutely make my life a miserable pathway.
mhm.
Um, how would you kind of encourage for someone to say, actually, I'm going to take it on and see what I can do going forward?
Well, the law, nobody's beyond the law. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care if you're turning over £200 million a year, you still answer to the law. So I wouldn't dissuade anybody from bringing a claim in that situation. You have to. if we all just sat back and said, okay, well, it's what's the point, and I may as well give up, then it's open season for these laws to be abused. And I do think we have reached a point, certainly through my experience in the time that I've been doing this, where there's I don't feel that the legal system's working properly. I'm not seeing the outcomes that we ought to be seeing. And this is again something that I have very strong opinions on. And I would talk to anybody in any position of power about this. I'd be very happy to talk to them about the things that I'm seeing, and I am deeply troubled by those things. But so it's a difficult question to say, do I dissuade somebody from bringing a claim because ultimately they might not get the outcome? I think we have to stay strong. We have to stay focused and say, well, look, if it means we have to go all the way to the Supreme Court, then we're going all the way to the Supreme Court. So, but it's hard. It is. It's hard to sort of you can. It's the same fire, I think, that people have when they come to us, that you have to keep reminding them to keep poking that fire, to not allow them to lose contact with the thing that brought them to you in the first place. Because I think the problem with litigation and employment claims is that time passes. And so people forget why they were angry in the first place. And that can be to their detriment sometimes because it takes its toll on people. Absolutely, it does. There's no quick remedy here. It's a something I'd like to talk to you about a lot more in the future, maybe. But yeah.
So, in terms of customer or claimant's journey, let's say they decide to actually take action, right?
Mhm.
They're picking up a phone, they give you a call. What happens next?
Well, they get a free 30-minute consultation standard. We offer that to everybody.
Okay.
So have 30 minutes to tell me their story.
Okay.
And that's something we do not charge for. In that 30 minutes, I will use that time to determine whether or not they have a claim or whether or not there is a dispute that they can resolve. It depends on the nature of the issue. But generally speaking, they have that 30-minute consultation. We will reach a decision as to whether or not we can support them. We then issue them with the necessary paperwork, client care contract, letter of engagement, which we then ask them to review to make sure they're clear on what it is they're getting involved in. And then from that point on, we just slowly begin to build their claim if that's what we're dealing with. We then sit down and create what it is they're going to bring to the courts or the tribunals in terms of trying to seek justice. And it's a progressive. It's like building a house. You start with the foundations. You just keep building. And we work closely with the clients. We keep timelines of everything that we do. We're very meticulous about we're a very transparent business. We hide nothing from nobody. And we know that breeds trust
Yeah.
because people often look at lawyers and say, well, I have no idea what this gentleman's doing, but I'm being charged for it.
Hmm.
We explain everything and we can show everything to our clients and they can access that information whenever they wish to. So that's something again we're always looking to improve and build upon. So, but that's it really. You tell the story, we decide if there's something we can do for you, and then we take that journey together. Uh,
Excellent. I've been in sales for the best part of 18 years, and I believe that it's very important to work alongside people.
100%.
And how can you help the environment without knowing the environment? So I think the 30-minute session is fantastic because it allows people to kind of open up and talk to you about not just the situations, but also their emotions,
Hmm.
right? And people buy from people, and they can sense whether you are a genuine person or someone who's looking for a paycheck.
Sure.
And it goes both ways. They will either decide to work with you
Hmm.
or they will move on somewhere else. And I think that 30 minutes allows people to kind of take the guard down a little bit to say,
Hmm.
actually, Neil is happy to talk to me. He's happy to listen to what I've got to say. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's fair enough.
Sure.
So it's a really
Absolutely.
good shout.
Well, thank you. And we'll never change. We'll always keep that
Mm,
offer there to people because I think, I can tell. I'm just going to relay a story that I heard literally 2 days ago from a psychotherapist who came to us to talk about a potential client. But this gentleman was 70 years old and he had something that was bothering him.
Okay.
And he wanted to talk to a lawyer or a solicitor about that issue. And so he consulted a local firm, and he was charged £300 for an hour's conversation. Now, I don't even know if he got anything from that. That's something that we'll hopefully find out. But the bottom line is he paid £300 to somebody just to listen to him.
Wow.
And I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Um, we'll give you 30 minutes. There is no charge. And you know what? If it depends on the circumstances, but sometimes if you think it's serious enough, we'll allow an hour. But we certainly don't produce an invoice at the end of that conversation and say, irrespective of whether or not we can help you, there's your bill of £300. I think it's abhorrent and unprofessional, and it's greed, and we don't stand for that, and we don't promote that, and we will never do that. I will never, ever, we will never knowingly charge someone to tell us their story. It's just wrong. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So one of the purposes of What's My Path is to kind of talk to people, professionals like yourself as well. Um, Talk to people with different types of backgrounds, aspirations, motivations, and different sets of paths and their ways. So obviously we know what you do as a business and how you do things and why you've been doing this. But at the same time, can you give us a little bit of a roadmap to, or whether you give a roadmap to your potential clients? So after 30 minutes, do you tell them this is where we are, this is where we can be, or do you keep it all secret as others or some of the others?
Yeah, again, it's transparency and honesty. That's what we do. So no, we don't keep anything secret from anybody. We explain the law in a way that they can understand. We make sure that they're clear on what we're telling them. We allow them time to ask more questions if they still need to ask questions. Nothing is too much. If at the end of the day the client or the potential client is sat in the chair and saying, "I've still got some nagging doubts," then we'll explore them. We will not let somebody come into our office and certainly into our business and walk away confused. That's not what we do. We always make sure that the person that talks to us feels that they have a degree of peace of mind, even if it doesn't result in them becoming a client. We would we that's we will ensure that they understand what they're getting into, and what their options are, and that's all we can do, and that's what we pride ourselves on is working with them and helping to demystify their sense of how things work. And I had this in a conversation recently with a gentleman that contacted me about a lease. And at the end of the conversation, and he may not become a client, he's a landlord, and he said to me, "Thank you so much for helping me to understand what we need to do, and you've been a great help." So that's great feedback, because leases are complex documents. So if we can help that landlord understand what he needs to do to help his tenants and what the tenants need to do to help themselves, then we've succeeded. So yes, we will always do our best to leave the client or the potential client sort of relaxed and safe in the knowledge that we know what we're doing and they know what they're getting involved in. That's yeah.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
would you say that your unique selling point is consultancy, confidence, and human to human dealing? So you're dealing
Yes.
with someone as a human, not as a robot.
Yeah, we're human centric. That's what we do. We work with human beings. The law is just a framework. The law is just a static, rigid system, and we're about helping human beings.
Hmm.
We're about bringing those two things together. That's what we stand for. We are the law firm that cares. It's something that my colleague said to me. We do care, and that's quite rare in the legal industry that to find a law firm that actually genuinely cares about the person. We deeply care about our clients, and we deeply care about those that come to us as well. It's very much about the person, because the law supports people. It's there to help people. But yes, we're 100% human centric, definitely.
Fantastic. I'm not in a position to talk a negative way about any other firm because it
Sure.
would be kind of bias, and I've never dealt with any other firms around here or in the UK in general.
Mhm.
But I know that you're very passionate about what you do because we go a long way, right? And I'm sure that a lot of people will benefit from your offerings because you take matters as on a personal basis rather than as just like a partnership. So
Sure.
I'm sure there are a lot of folks out there, regardless whether it's in Cornwall or any other county in the UK, that would absolutely benefit from you and your knowledge base and your passion for the law, because there is a difference between a career and profession,
Hmm.
right? So you can either have someone with a high skill but low will, or you can have someone with a low skill but high will, or
Hmm.
you can have someone with the high skill and the high will, which I believe in your case, that's the case. So I'm confident that you will absolutely deliver. It's the last thing you want to do is overpromise and deliver, right? So you basically um, sell what you deliver and you deliver what you sell.
We do. We do. We give 100%, 100% of the time. That's it. We can do no more than that.
Now
Um,
that's great. That's absolutely great. I'd love to carry on this conversation. Maybe let's see how this channel goes. But at the same time, if there's anyone that is looking for a bit of an assistance or be heard, please
sure.
reach out to Neil. Neil, I will put your contact details under the video as well, including your email address. And yeah, thank you all for your time, and thank you, Neil, for the
Oh,
insights. It
you're
was
welcome.
there's a lot of value in those type of conversations because there are definitely a lot of people out there that are a little bit worried to step out of the comfort zone and kind of fight for their rights or their families
Mm,
or friends.
mm.
So yeah, thank you for your time and see you soon.
You're welcome.